Good, sharing my screen with you. Okay, so let me start with what we had started last time around. We were there into the time value of money. We have understood the conceptual part of the time value of money, how to interpret that. There are two perspectives to look at the time value of money. One is the inflation perspective, another one is the earning power perspective. Then I had also told you about the power of compounding, how tremendous power the compounding possesses. And you will be able to realize that power of compounding only if you will remain invested for a pretty long period of time. We have understood the importance of the savings. We have also understood the importance of investing it. And we have also understood the power of compounding. Now we can go to the numericals of it. Now, before I go to the numericals of it, I would just like to give you a brief idea about what type of numericals we may have. So just give me 1 second. Okay, try to understand this. Now, there are two processes, namely, which we follow to find the present value and the future value. When the time value of money comes into the picture, no, two more terms comes into the picture. One is present value, another one is future value. Now, what is the present value and what is the future value? Say you are investing something at this point of time. Here, say 1 lakh rupees, and 15 percentage of return you are expecting on per annum basis. That means you should get the 15 percentage of the return on 1 lakh rupees of invested, and you are remaining invested for 10 years. So what will be the future value after the 10 years? So here we want to reach, and this is called as the future value. Now this is the future value, or I may call it the fund value. It is not the interest amount you have earned. What that 1 lakh rupees has become now, that is the future value. And 1 lakh rupees that you are investing is called as the present value. Now, if you have the present value and you want to reach to the future value, then you follow the process of compounding. Now, this is specifically applicable only to the compounding return you get. And majority of the questions and the numericals that we are going to take now, we are going to take the compounding return in place. You people have pretty much understood the meaning of compounding. It is the interest on interest. That means whatever the return you are getting are reinvested again. If I am investing 100 rupees, my dear fellas and fellies, then if I receive 10 percentage interest on it, then my fund value at the end of the first year will be 110. Now again, if I receive the 10 percentage, it will be on 110. So I'll receive 11 rupees as the interest, and my future value will become 1 to 1. Again, for the third year, if I receive the interest, my dear friends, then I will be receiving that interest on this 1 to 1. That will be 12.1. So my fund value will become 133.2. So that's the interest on interest. So majority of the questions that we are going to solve will be related to the compounding. Now, if we want to reach to the future value from the present value, we follow the process of compounding. Okay. Now, exact reverse situation we may have, which is also called as the goal-based planning. Some people may come to you and say that, sir, I require 1 lakh rupees after 5 years. Then what amount I should invest now? So this is how the timeline would be looking like. Say he wants 1 lakh rupees after 5 years. So that's going to be the future value which you have right now. And he wants to know that what will be the amount of investment that he will have to do now. So if you have the future value and you want to reach to the present value, you follow the process of discounting. Please put it in the back of your mind. You may also prepare the notes of it. It's already been there in the textbook, but textbook might not be able to give you such creative explanations. Over there would be a too much of theoretical explanation, so that if you want to remember it further, that is my humble submission that you should keep preparing the notes. So you people have understood the meaning of compounding as well as the discounting, right? That if you want to reach to the present value, you follow the process of discounting. If you want to reach to the future value, you follow the process of compounding. That must be there in the back of your mind. May I have the confirmation from the students? Any doubt till now? Compounding as well as the discounting. Now, what does it
Clear, sir.
stand for? How do you? Very true. Others? Good. And let
Clear,
me
sir.
tell you, this time value of money is the base. Good. This time value of money is the base for every kind of advanced calculations in the financial management. You take the valuations of the shares, you take the derivatives, how the stock markets are deciding whether the stocks are overvalued or undervalued. How do we value various types of agreements, contracts, derivatives? How do we value the businesses? If one company is purchasing the business of another company, then how do they value the business? Every such places, time value of money is going to be the base. For every advanced calculation, time value of money is going to be the base. So I request all of you to have the utmost concentration in this time value of money lectures. Okay. Now, there can be various transactions. Let's think from the perspective of the future value now. That means we have the present value. Present value is given, and we are supposed to find the future value. Now, if we are supposed to find the future value, then you will be encountered with various type of transactions. The first type of transaction can be, it can be a single cash flow. Try to understand what is the meaning of the single cash flow. Single cash flow stands for you are investing only for one point of time. I'm using the word investing. That does not mean it is related only with the investing. It is also related with the loans. Only the inflow and outflow will be a different in the loan. Let me just give you the example so that you will be crystal clear about it. Say I have taken the PV example here. So what I was telling you that if you want to receive 1 lakh rupees after this many number of years, then what you should invest right now. Now, it can also be applicable when it comes to the loans. If you take the loan from someone and you will be supposed to pay 1 lakh rupees after 5 years, and you are supposed to pay say 10% of interest on it, then what is the amount of loan you have taken in the present? Over there too, the present value calculation will be applicable. So this present value calculation is not just related with the investment. Even the future value calculation is not just related with the investment. The methodology remains same, applicable to the investment as well as to the loans. Only the sequence of inflow and outflow gets changed. So when we are looking from the investment perspective, here at the end of the 5 years, you receive the cash inflow. And you want to know that what amount you should invest now. So now you will have to do the cash outflow. That is the investment perspective. But if you take the loans, then if you are supposed to pay 1 lakh rupees to someone after 5 years, and you want to know that what is the amount of loan you have taken, so that you will have to pay 1 lakh rupees after 5 years at 10% interest. So here you would be doing the cash outflow in the future, and obviously the loan amount you receive, right? So receive amount is called as the cash inflow. So whether it is loan or investment, it's just the difference of cash inflow. In loan, you receive the money first and then you pay it back. In the investment, you pay the money first and then you receive it back. But the basic methodology for the calculation remains same, and that is applicable to even the future values and the present values. Right? Let's go over there. Single cash flow. Now, major examples I'll be taking will be from the perspective of investments, but it can also be related with the loans. That's why I have clarified that it is applicable to the loans as well. Now, in the single cash flow, you are investing only for the one time. Say you're investing 1 lakh rupees, and you want to keep it invested for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You are investing 10 lakhs rupees, whatever the amount you have, you are investing in the lump sum only for the one occasion. Those kind of questions will be regarded as the single cash flow questions. Then it can be annuity. Now, when it comes to the annuity, my fellas and fellies, here you do not invest in the lump sum, you invest in the katke over a period of time. Say, for example, if you are investing 5,000 rupees on yearly basis for 10 years, then this is how the timeline looks like. You are investing first of all 5,000. Now again, the question which arises is whether you are investing at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year. If you are investing at the beginning of the year, then you will get the interest for that year too. And if you are investing at the end of the year, then obviously for that year you do not get the interest, right? Now, if you are investing at the beginning, then it is called as the annuity due. So right at the beginning of the year, you are investing 5,000 rupees. So I'm investing 5,000 rupees over here. 1 year is over. Again, I'm investing 5,000 rupees. Second year is over. Again, investing 5,000 rupees straight away. And similarly, I would be making the investment for how many number of times? 10 years, because number of periods are 10. So I want to know that if I will be investing 5,000, 5,000, 5,000 on a yearly basis, and I expect say 11% of the return, then what will be the fund value after 10 years? Over there, you will have to apply the formula of annuity, because this is an annuity. Now, what are the features of annuity? Try to understand. The first and foremost feature of the annuity is that the amount of investment over a period of time you are making for each and every period is the same. It's gonna be 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, as simple as that. Then only you can call it annuity. It can be 10, 11, whatever the case it would be, but the amount of investment for all these periods which you are making in each and every period, it should remain same. Number two, the period between the two successive transactions should also remain same. That means the gap between the two transactions is the 1 year. You cannot say and come to me, oh sir, I'll be doing the investment right now, then I'll be doing after 6 months, then I'll be making the investment after 2 years, then after 3 years, then again in the 2 months I'll be making the investment. No, then it is not called as the annuity. To be regarded as the annuity, to be called as an annuity, there has to be two features which must be satisfied. Number one is amount of investment in series should remain identical, homogeneous, same, whatever the word you want to use. And number two, the time gap between two cash flows shall remain same over a period of annuity. Please put it in the back of your mind. If these two features are satisfied, then only you can call it an annuity, otherwise not. At the beginning of the first year, if you are investing 5,000, and then at the beginning of the second year, if you will be investing 6,000, it cannot be called as an annuity. You will have to apply the different calculations to find the future value of those transactions. You can apply the formula of annuity only if these two features are satisfied. Now here in this case, you were investing at the beginning of each period. Now if you are investing at the end of the each period, the same example we are taking 5,000 rupees on a yearly basis. For 10 years, and you expect 11% return on it. So here at the beginning, you are not investing anything. But at the end of the first year, you would invest 5,000 here. So that eventually means that you will not receive the interest for the first period. Obviously, no, because you are doing the investment at the end of the period. The year has already been passed. You should not get any return for the year which is already been passed. So here you do not get any return. Again, at the end of the second year, you get 5,000. You invest 5,000 again at 5,000. Now, when I'm using the word invest, that means it is a cash outflow first. It can also be the cash inflow. This kind of calculations are applicable both to inflows and outflows. I'm just giving you the investment example for the better understanding right now. But the gist of the calculation remains same. For one party, it can be inflow. Obviously, for the next party, the second party, it would be the reciprocal transaction. It would be outflow. If I give money to Mr. Daksh, then for me, it's an outflow. For Daksh, it's inflow. But the gist of the transaction remains same. So if I receive the loan from the financial institution, then for me, it's an inflow. For me, it's a loan. But the financial institution is basically doing the investment in me, right? They are showing the loans that they are giving on the asset side. For them, it's outflow. They are investing in me, and I'm going to pay some return to them. So whether you take the loan example or you take the investment example, the gist of the matter remains same. Okay. If you are taking the investment at the end of these periods, no, dear friends, then it is called as the ordinary annuity. Now, ordinary annuity will have the different formula, different from the annuity Duca formula. But the only difference between the two is that in one, you are investing at the beginning of the period, and in another, you are investing at the end of the period. I hope I have clarified this to everyone. May I have a confirmation till now? There are a few other types of annuities as well. I'll go into those type of annuities which are quite complex in nature in some time to come. But let's have the basic structural understanding first. Primarily, you have only the two types of annuity. There can be others as well. If I give the example that you will start the investment, say after 5 years, not today. So there is a deferment period of 5 years, and after 5 years, you will start making the investments. And then you want to know that at the end of the 10th year, what will be the future value. So called as the deferred annuity. Say, Mr. Gaurav came to me and said that, sir, I do not have the money right now. I have just started the business analytics course a year back. But yes, once I'll be there in my job or profession or in my business, then I'll be able to make the investment of my choice. He would say that, sir, up to 2 years, I'm not going to make any investment from now. So there are 2 years which are passed. And then from the third year, at the end of the third year, I will start investing. And he will start investing 10,000. For how many number of years? For 5 more years. So up to this point, my dear friends, he is not investing anything. Now, this point till which he is not investing anything is called as the deferment period. It can also be related with the loan. And what you want to know that after the end of 5 years, he is making the investment. 3 years are elapsed initially. So at the end of the 8th year, he would be having some money. 3 years are just passed, without making any investment. And for the next 5 years, he is going to invest something. Now, this is called as the deferred annuity. It is also called as the delayed annuity. Some people call it as a delayed annuity. Delayed or deferred, both remains same. You say Chiku or you say Virat Kohli. Both are one and same, right? So I'm just giving you the structural understanding of the various type of transactions we may get encounter of, Okay. Now let's move ahead. Annuities we have seen. Okay. Then the third type of transaction can be which are not fitting into any of those. They are not the single cash flow as well, and they are not annuity as well. So they are called as the differential cash flow. The differential cash flow would be like, say you have 5 years, and at the end of the first year, say you're investing 10,000. Then you will like, sir, there was a corona, I couldn't invest anything, so I'll just be investing 2,000 now. Then your year of the business went so well, you will like, sir, now I want to invest 40,000 rupees. I said, okay, good. Then you would be like 20. Then you would be like 5 again. So the amount of investment is getting changed over a period of time. You cannot call it an annuity. It is not an single cash flow transaction as well. So here there would be a table prepared by you. And the table will be solving the future values by taking this each one of transactions as the single cash flow. Each one of them will be taken as the single cash flow, and we'll be finding the total of it. So we'll come to that table. You will come to understand that how you are going to prepare this. Do not worry, but let's just have the structural understanding right now. So I hope you have got it. You have understood the three primary types of the annuities. You may take a snap of it if you want to, if you can understand from this later on. And one more thing in this annuity, one more point which I forgot to mention is that the rate of expectation of the return should also remain same. You cannot say that for the first 3 years I would have 5% of return and for the next 3 years I would have 10% of return. No, the return expectation should not get changed for this entire period. Otherwise, you cannot call it an annuity. And if the return expectation gets changed over a period of time, again, you will have to consider that as the differential cash flow. Rate of return is constant. Okay, till now, everyone, is it clear? May I have the confirmation, please? Miss Veronica, yes, good to see that. Others, if you are stuck anywhere, couldn't understand anything, anywhere you require the further explanation from my side, let me know. The one who asks the foolish doubt would be the foolish only for the one time. And the one who do not ask any doubt will remain foolish for the lifetime. You decide, one time or lifetime. There shouldn't be any hesitation as far as the questions and doubts are concerned. Do not act like you know everything. If you don't know anything, let me know straight away.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, a point though, my investment at the end of the year, then it's called ordinary.
Hmm.
But what is called if I invest at the beginning of the period?
I was expecting this question. So some people would be like, sir, then you are telling me that you know if now I'm not using the word year, I'm using the word period. At the end of the period or at the beginning of the period. Try to understand, huh? Now say there is a 1 year and you had started investing in the June. Some people will be like, sir, June is in the middle of the year. So how do we find the annuity? Then my dear friends, try to understand if your annuity starts from the June, then either you are starting the investment at the beginning of the June, yes or no, or you will make the investment at the end of that year. And that year is actually starting from the June only because from where your investment is getting started. So you should start calculating your period from the time you are making the investment. Do not get stuck into the formal definition of the year we are giving. The formal definition of the year may be different for the calendar year, starts from the 1st January to 31st of December. For the financial year, it can be, 1st of April to 31st of March. Do not take that into account. Start your year from where you are starting your investment. Now see, then you would be like, sir, why I would be making the investment at the end of any period? That's possible. Why not? Your If I give you one more example, say this annuity, I have taken the example of yearly basis. It can be the monthly basis as well. So the period can be monthly, it can be yearly, it can be 6 monthly, it can be daily as well. Say it is a monthly, and you are starting it right from the month of January. So in January you are investing something, in February you are investing something, March you are investing something, and in each and every month you are investing something, right? Now you would have two options. Either you may start it at the period, beginning of the period, or at the end of the period. Now when you start at the end of the period, that means for that period you do not get the interest. Even if you start from say 15th June, then you start making the calculation from the 15th June only. So your year becomes from 15th June to 14th June for the next year. So do not get stuck into the formal definition of the years that we have given. For the income tax, the year can be different. For financial year, balance sheet and financial statement preparation, the year can be different. Calendar year can be different. Do not get stuck into that. It can be even at the middle of anywhere, but you just need to see that whether you will be receiving the interest for that period or not. You receive the interest for that only if you have invested at the beginning of that period. Period can be monthly, period can be weekly, period can be daily, period can be, any other time frame. Is it clear now, Mr. Vishal? I loved it. I loved that doubt. I was expecting it, but I didn't receive it from anyone. Good, good. Is it clear, Vishal?
Yes, sir.
Or the further explanation is required?
Clear, sir.
Good. Others, is it clear? So you should not get stuck into year and dates and everything. If you are making the investment, say at 15th of July, then start your year from the 15th of July only, Who is stopping you to create the year of your own? You are allowed to. You have the liberty to do so. So it is not applicable only to the years. It is applicable to any other time horizon. 5,000 rupees you are investing. No, it can be on monthly basis too. It can be on daily basis too. Then the interest calculation and number of periods will be different. As simple as that. Instead of year, you will be taking number of months or number of days. Instead of yearly return, you will be taking the periodic return. We'll get into these complications later on. Let's just have the structural understanding. In this chart, every sort of the transaction, almost 90% of the future values are covered. Now we can start solving the questions. First, we'll go to the single cash flow. And I can go to the single cash flow only if my fellas and fellies have got the utmost understanding of everything. Confirmation, please. Good. Very good. Let's move ahead. Now I have circulated one file. I'm starting with the future value. One more thing which is there in the business analytics syllabus is that, you have the direct functions to be started in the Excel. Now there is nothing mentioned related to the time value of money, which should be done on pen paper basis, the practical exercises. Now the problem, if you do not do the pen paper exercises, then the conceptual clarity might get little bit difficult for you. That's why what we'll be doing is, for every sort of a transaction we'll be doing in the Excel, we will be using the formulas of the Excel. Along with that, I would also tell you that if this question would have been received by you manually, then which formula you will be using? Because Excel definitions and the formulas and functions are slightly different from the manual formulas you use on pen and paper, So I'll also tell you that what will be the pen and paper formula to solve this question and what is the Excel function to solve this question. So both the perspectives we are looking into, so that you do not, you get the conceptual understanding from both the ways. Let's move ahead. Mr. Virat Kohli, who is the cricketer of India, wants to invest 10 crores in one period, in one project of creating a chain of gymnasiums across the India. He expects the return of 12% yearly. What will be the future value after 5 years? Now, what would have been the manual formula? When it comes to a single cash flow, you would be writing these formulas. In time value of money, there would be at least around 20 to 25 formulas. It's my humble submission that you should start writing the formulas somewhere in some pages. So for single cash flow, if you are supposed to find the future value, it is a single cash flow. He is investing only for the one point of time. He is not investing on a yearly basis, that at the end or at the beginning of each year he is investing something. You know, present value multiplied by 1 plus r raised to n. N stands for the number of periods and r stands for the rate of return for that period. Rate of return of period. If the number of periods are in years, then the rate of return will also be the annual. If the number of periods are in months, then the rate of return must be adjusted to the per month return. So if you want to adjust it to the per month return, then obviously you will be dividing the rate of return by 12. If the number of periods are say quarters, then in a year you have 4 quarters, right? So the rate of return should also be adjusted to the quarterly rate, you know. So for the entire year, say for example, you are getting 10%, then for each quarter, how much rate you will be getting? So the rate is divided by 10. Not by 10, by 4, because in a year you have 4 quarters. If the number of periods are representing a 6 months, then the rate of return will be divided by 2 if it is the annual rate of return given to you. So rate of return is of the period. I'm using the word period deliberately, intentionally. And here as well, number of periods I'm using, not number of years. I hope that's pretty much clear to everyone. So whatever the present value you have multiplied by 1 plus r raised to n, you get the future value. Now, how do you solve it in the Excel? You can start with the sign of equal to. Then there is a function called FV. I'm using the magnifier so that you get it in a better way. Opening the bracket. The first argument is the rate. Now in the Excel, you can manually write the rate, or you may link the cell where rate is written. We have solved these questions in the finance function of the Excel, but over there, our focus was limited only to a simple kind of transactions, you know. But in this, we'll be covering so many other advanced complicated things as well. So rate of return, which is expected, is 12%. I'm writing 12%. I'm not dividing it by quarters, not by 6 months, because anyway, the compounding is taking place on the yearly basis only. So each and every year, you are receiving the interest, and that interest is added back in your fund. So this compounding frequency is the yearly, comma. Number of periods are how many? For how many number of years Mr. Virat Kohli wants to invest? May I have the answer from the students, please? Okay. 5 years, comma. Then it comes the PMT. PMT stands for, you know, the installment you are making on a periodic basis. Now here in this case, we are investing only for the one time. So in the formula syntax you have seen, no, either the PMT will be there or PV will be there. If it is an annuity, then you will be using the PMT. If it is just a single transaction, then instead of PMT, you will be using the PV. So PMT would obviously be 0 because we are not making any cash flows, you know, during these periods. It's not an annuity. So PMT will not be there. PMT stands for the regular installments. So PMT is not there. We are investing only for the one time, comma. Then it comes the PV. PV stands for the present value, which is obviously the amount of investment you are making now. You are there in the present right now. So I'm writing 10 crores. Do not make mistake in zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, comma. Whether you are investing at the end or at the beginning, now you have already taken the 5 periods and PMT is anyway not there. So there is no meaning to write the type as well. So when you have just a PV, no, then type is something which is optional in nature. All the things which are there in the big square bracket are optional. So do not write any type. Closing the bracket, pressing the enter, the amount that Mr. Virat Kohli would be having after 5 years, if he expect 12% of the return, will be 17 crores 62 lakhs 34,168. Now it's there in a minus because Excel considers every transaction as the outflow by default. So what we'll do is we'll do some Indian kinda जुगाड़ with it, you know. अगर Excel smart है तो हम over smart है. Excel अगर डाया है तो हम डॉट डाये हैं. We would be putting minus in front of this 10 crores so that we get the ultimate answer positive. Some people will be like, sir, it is giving us the currency of dollars. Why can't we get it rupee? Why not? You can get it in a rupee as well. You will have to just change the currency in the Excel. Now this US people think that, you know, entire world runs from the dollar, which is a very bad assumption which they have made. That's gonna be broken in some years to come, especially after the rise of China and India. Let some years pass. We are going to overtake them. Okay. Is it clear? May I have the confirmation from the students, please? Single transaction. And if you use the same formula here, this one, then you would get the same answer. You may check it again. And if you do it manually, no, then how do you do it? Say 10 crores of rupees here, multiplied by 1 plus R. R stands for the rate of return expectation, which is how much? 12%. And 12% you can write it in the decimal. So you can write it 0.12 and raised to 5, right? So that's basically 10 crores multiplied by 1.12 raised to 5. Now this is called as the compounding factor. Compounding factor. And you multiply the compounding factor with the present value, you get the future value as that. So how do you solve 1.12 raised to 5? And some people would be like, sir, if there would be 20 or 30 something in a power, then how will be solving it? We have got the shortcut key, do not worry. Even if you are solving it manually through the calculator, no, then also it's pretty easy to be understood. Now 1.12 multiplied by 1.12, you will be doing equal to further. So 1.12 multiplied by 1.12 equal to, that means 2 times you have already covered, right? Now you will have to press the equal to for 3 more times. 1, 2, and 3. So whatever the compounding factor you get, multiply that with 10 crores. So in total, obviously, you would have the same amount. Okay. Let's move ahead. I'm just putting a question in front of you. Say you are investing 10,000, sorry, 1 lakh. I'm just inserting one row. You may also insert. This is the amount of investment. You will be solving it. And the rate of expectation of the return is say 8%. And compounding is say monthly. And you want the future value after say 8 years. Now, what do we understand by the compounding monthly? That means whatever the interest you are getting, no, is added on a monthly basis on each of these investments. So the monthly interest you get is obviously 8 divided by 12 times, you know, because 8% is the rate you get for the entire year. Then the monthly rate needs to be found first of all. Then whatever the monthly rate is there, it is being added on a monthly basis. then you get some money at the end of the first month, then you again get the interest for the second month, then you get, the fund value at the end of the second month, at the end of the third month, at the end of the fourth month, and compounding is monthly in nature. So interest is credited on a monthly basis in your investment, not on a yearly basis. But if it is credited on a monthly basis, please put it in the back of your mind that you should convert your rate to monthly rate as well. Otherwise, you will not get the right answer. So this is a homework assignment for you. How you will be able to solve it, just let me know. आप कैसे उसको solve करेंगे वो next lecture में आप मुझको बताना है. It is just a one curiosity question I'm putting across in front of you. और इसका अगर answer आ जाए तो you will be telling that to me in the next session. Okay, may I have the confirmation from the students as far as the things we have done today? Very good. So you'll be putting just your enrollment number as a mark of your attendance. That's it from my side for today. See you all in the next lecture again. If you have any question or queries, I am here for you. Anything you couldn't understand well, I am here for you. Bye-bye. Take care. Sayonara. Yes, Veronica, you want to say something?